Lesson 14.1, we are counting outcomes. We're going to count outcomes using a tree diagram and using the fundamental counting principle, which is much handier. How are possible win-loss records counted in football? The championship in the Atlantic Coast Conference is decided by the number of conference wins. If there is a tie in the conference wins, then the team with the more non-conference wins is the champion. If Florida State plays 3 non-conference games, the diagram at the right shows the different records they could have for those games. One method used for counting the number of possible outcomes is to draw a tree diagram like they did in that example. The last column of the tree diagram shows all the possible outcomes. The list of all the possible outcomes is called the sample space, while any collection of one or more outcomes in the sample space is called an event. At football games, a student concession stand sells sandwiches on either white or rye bread. Wheat or rye. They like spicy stuff. The sandwiches come in salami, turkey, or ham, either chips or brownie or fruit. Use a tree diagram to determine the number of possible sandwich outcomes. There are a lot of outcomes. Starting with wheat, they could have salami, turkey, or ham. Starting with rye, they could have salami, turkey, or ham. And then after you've picked that, you get to pick chips, brownie, or fruit. So that comes up with 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 outcomes. And some of you already may have figured out the punchline on this joke. If we just multiply the number of types of bread times the number of types of meat times the number of side items, we would get 18, and that is the fundamental counting principle. Stated formally, if an event M can occur in M ways and is followed by an event N that it can occur in N ways, then the event M followed by the event N can occur in M times N ways. 2 cheap computer companies sells custom-made personal computers. Customers have a choice of 11 different hard drives, 6 different keyboards, 4 different mice, and 4 different monitors. How many different custom computers could you possibly order? Well, if we multiply the number of choices for hard drive times keyboard times mice times monitor, we get 1,056 different custom computer possibilities. There are 8 students in the Algebra Club at Central High School. The students want to stand in a line for their yearbook picture. How many different ways could the 8 students stand in line for their picture? Well, you could pick any of the 8 students to get there first. We picked one guy, so he's done. So now there are 7 left. We've used up 2, so now there are 6 left, and so on. Till the last guy goes, times 1. Multiplying by 1 doesn't do much. Okay, so with only 8 people, there are 40,320 ways they could stand in a line. That's a lot. We could have written this as 8 factorial. Factorial notation is the product of all positive integers beginning with n and counting backwards to 1. So 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, or 120. There's a factorial button even on your calculator. So 9 factorial is going to be 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Type that in the calculator and we get 362,880. Jill and Miranda are going to a national park for their vacation. Near their camping ground where they are staying, there are 8 hiking trails. How many different ways can they hike all the trails if they hike each trail only once? That's going to be 8 factorial, which is 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times, I guess we can write times 1 because we should. Type that in the calculator and we get 40,320 ways. Now if they have only time to hike 5 of the trails, they would still start off with 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4. There's the first 5 trails. And so that only gives them a choice of 6,720 ways to do it. Tree diagrams are one of the ways we can use to make a list of their total sample space. And if an event M occurs in M ways is followed by an event N that occurs N ways, then the fundamental counting principle says that we can multiply M times N to get the total number of possible ways it can all happen.